Hollywood didn't turn on Dwayne Johnson because he failed. It turned on him because he became dangerous to insure. Right now, studios aren't chasing stars, they're managing risk. And in that calculation, two names reveal everything. One actor raises budgets, expectations, and exposure the moment he signs on. The other quietly lowers risk, even when the movie fails. This isn't about talent. It's about which careers Hollywood is still willing to protect. And once you understand this shift, a lot of modern casting decisions suddenly make sense. 1. The rules studios actually follow. Forget everything you think you know about star power. The era of chasing blockbuster upside with a single bankable face is over. The modern studio is not a talent scout. It is a risk-averse portfolio manager. Their goal isn't to hit a home run. It's to avoid striking out. Volatility is the enemy. The calculus is now cold, clear, and obsessed with minimizing downside. What does that look like? It demands predictable budgets, predictable audience response, and predictable awards leverage, which functions as a financial and reputational safety net. The star who can deliver all three is the ultimate asset. The star who delivers only one, even massively, is a risk. This is the core contrast. Dwayne Johnson became the archetype of the high-budget, brand expectation model. His presence guarantees a floor, but it automatically inflates the ceiling of a film's cost and creative constraints. The star is the product. Leonardo DiCaprio, conversely, operates within a model of controlled budgets and prestige insulation. He is not the product, he is a conduit for the product, which is the director's vision and the film's artistic credibility. One model demands victory at any cost. The other is allowed nuance and even dignified failure. And this is where The Rock's model quietly broke. 2. Why The Rock became a risk asset. The problem wasn't failure. For a long time, Dwayne Johnson's model was considered failure-proof. He built an empire not on critical acclaim, but on an unshakable floor. Audiences knew exactly what they were getting: a charismatic hero, a global spectacle, a guaranteed good time. The box office numbers seemed to prove the model worked. But a model built on consistency has a hidden pressure valve: cost. And that valve began to fail. A Rock film became a suite of brand expectations that automatically inflated budgets. His persona demanded scale: bigger action sequences, broader visual effects, global promotional tours. This created a high watermark for production and marketing spending that was difficult to lower without appearing to diminish the product itself. This is the first crack in the foundation. Brand-driven casting inflates budgets automatically. Simultaneously, the very control that built his empire began to limit studio flexibility. Creative control clauses, negotiated to protect his image and brand, could constrain a director's vision and make films harder to pivot midstream. When the star is the product cannot be fundamentally altered. This turned each film into a high-stakes, all-or-nothing bet on a single, unwavering formula. Then came the audience fatigue. The same invincible persona that defined his brand became a creative cage. The tone, the character arc, the triumphant resolution, all became predictable. The risk was no longer that a Rock movie would bomb. The risk was that the audience would simply stop showing up with the same fervor, eroding that once guaranteed floor. Recent history provided the stress test. Films like Black Adam became case studies in budget-to-return stress, where massive investment yielded diminishing and contentious returns. The reported power struggles behind that film weren't just about creative differences. They were a flashpoint showing the industry that the cost of managing the brand, financially and logistically, might outweigh its benefit. The result was a subtle but seismic shift in negotiation leverage. Studios began to look at a Rock package not as a sure thing, but as a complex financial instrument with high carrying costs and audience sentiment risk. Studios didn't lose faith in Dwayne Johnson. They lost patience with his cost structure. His pivot toward dramatic roles in films like The Smashing Machine is the proof. It's an attempt to remodel the asset, to prove versatility can lower risk. But even that attempt highlighted the trap. The film was praised as a dramatic turn for Johnson, yet it became a box office bomb, dramatically underperforming against its budget. Tellingly, it later found success as the #1 film on HBO Max, suggesting his brand still has power, but perhaps in a different, less theatrical economy. For studios that need theatrical hits, this streaming afterlife is a consolation prize, not a business plan. The conclusion for studios became clear. An asset that demands you spend more to make the same, while offering less creative flexibility in a market growing tired of the same, is not a safe bet. It's a volatile one. 3. DiCaprio's hidden advantage. He transfers risk. Here is the critical aha moment. Leonardo DiCaprio succeeds in the modern studio economy not by eliminating risk, but by expertly transferring it. He does not sell Leonardo DiCaprio. He sells what his presence brings: a director's vision, a stamp of prestige, a clear runway to the awards stage. His career is a curated portfolio of collaborations with auteurs: Scorsese, Tarantino, Nolan, Iñárritu. When you cast DiCaprio, you are not just hiring an actor. You are financing a director's most ambitious project and signaling to critics, awards voters, and adult audiences that this is a serious film. This creates a powerful psychological and financial buffer. When a DiCaprio film underperforms, as even his films occasionally do, the failure is framed differently. It is not a star vehicle crashing. It is an ambitious auteur piece that didn't find its audience. This distinction is everything. A prestige miss can still burnish a studio's reputation for supporting quality, adding long-term value to its library. A brand miss, like Black Adam or Jungle Cruise failing to launch a franchise, is a pure, loud financial loss that damages the core product, the star's brand itself. When DiCaprio fails, the movie fails. When The Rock fails, the brand fails. Once you see this distinction, you start noticing why Hollywood forgives some careers and quietly freezes others. Let's examine the insulation. Studios tolerate DiCaprio's misses because they are outliers in a career defined by intentionality. His projects are selected with a focus on legacy, not opening weekend. This generates immense ancillary value. Awards runway. A DiCaprio film is an automatic awards contender, generating months of media coverage and cultural relevance that a traditional blockbuster cannot buy. Library value. His films are evergreen. A decade from now, The Wolf of Wall Street or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood will still be rented, streamed, and studied. They are permanent, high-value assets. Reputation laundering. For a studio, a slate that includes a DiCaprio-Scorsese film acts as a shield, granting artistic credibility that offsets the risk of more commercial ventures. Finally, DiCaprio's model transfers creative risk to the director. He is celebrated for disappearing into roles, for being unlikable, Jordan Belfort, flawed, Hugh Glass, or pathetic, Rick Dalton. His brand is transformation. This allows the film, not the actor's persona, to be the story. The Rock's model requires the film to serve his persona. One is a vessel for story. The other is the story's inviolable center. 4. Budget psychology. Why one gets leeway and the other doesn't. This is where the theory of risk meets the hard reality of accounting. The different ways studios budget for and forgive a DiCaprio film versus a Johnson film reveal the ultimate truth. One is treated as a capital investment, the other as a marketing expense. Let's break down the financial psychology. The DiCaprio playbook, the prestige investment. A film starring Leonardo DiCaprio is approached like funding a major infrastructure project. The budget is seen as capital expenditure on a long-term asset. Lower marketing burn. His films often sell on the strength of the director's name, the awards buzz, or the provocative subject matter. The marketing can be more targeted and sophisticated, aiming for cultural conversation rather than global saturation. It costs less to convince an adult audience that a Scorsese/DiCaprio collaboration is an event worth their time. Adult skewing, patient audiences. His core demographic doesn't demand a film be seen on opening night. They are more likely to read a review, wait for a weekend, and buy a premium ticket. This creates a long theatrical tail. The box office revenue drips in steadily over months, not in one explosive do-or-die weekend. The ancillary lifeline. Even if theatrical performance is modest, the studio knows the film will have a robust and lucrative second life. It will command high prices for streaming rights, become a staple of premium cable packages, and sell consistently on home video platforms for years. It's an asset that appreciates in the library. The Johnson Playbook, the blockbuster campaign. A rock film is treated like a military campaign for opening weekend. The budget is a massive, upfront marketing spend that must yield immediate, overwhelming returns. Massive, non-negotiable marketing spend. To meet the global event expectation of his brand, studios must carpet bomb every platform. The marketing budget often rivals the production budget. Take Black Adam, for example. Production budget, approximately $190 to $200 million. Reported marketing spend, estimated $100 to $150 million plus. There is no subtlety, only saturation. Opening weekend pressure. The entire financial model hinges on a massive, record-breaking opening. Theatrical lifespan is assumed to be short. If it doesn't open huge, it is a crisis. The following weeks see steep drops, as the core, front-loaded audience has already shown up. The franchise imperative. Success isn't measured by the film's own profit, but by whether it can launch or sustain a franchise. A standalone hit is a partial failure. This puts unbearable pressure on the first weekend's numbers as a predictor of future value. The psychology of forgiveness. When a $200 million DiCaprio auteur piece makes $150 million, executives can point to its Oscar nominations, its cultural impact, and its future library value. The loss is framed as the cost of prestige. It's a strategic investment that didn't yield the desired return, but still added value to the studio's portfolio. When a $200 million Johnson brand vehicle makes $150 million, it is a pure, undeniable financial disaster. There is no prestige to fall back on. The brand's value, the very reason for the high cost, is seen as damaged. The loss is a tactical failure with no silver lining. This is why studios forgive DiCaprio and punish Johnson. 5. The brand trap versus the prestige shield. Now we reach the core psychological lock that defines their careers. The difference is not just in what they sell, but in the rules they are allowed to play by. One operates under a rigid, unforgiving code. The other enjoys a flexible, protective shield. This is the brand trap and the prestige shield. The brand trap. Why The Rock must always win. Dwayne Johnson's entire commercial existence is built on a singular, invincible image. He is the hero, the winner, the reliable source of uplift. This is his superpower and his trap. The persona is non-negotiable. Audiences buy tickets to see The Rock triumph. This means his characters cannot be truly morally ambiguous, irredeemably flawed, or end in failure. The story must service the brand. The always-on mandate. His brand requires constant visibility and consistent reinforcement. Social media, tequila brands, energy drinks, TV appearances, it's a 360-degree ecosystem. Any retreat is seen as weakness. Any deviation is a risk. His business is public, perpetual momentum. Failure is catastrophic. Because the brand promises a specific winning experience, a film's failure is perceived as a failure of the brand's promise. It directly questions the core product, the reliable, bankable, uplifting Johnson experience. The prestige shield. Why DiCaprio is allowed to lose. Leonardo DiCaprio's power derives from something entirely different: artistic credibility. His brand is selective excellence and transformation. This grants him what every artist craves: freedom. Permission to be unlikable. He is celebrated for roles that are grotesque, Calvin Candy in Django Unchained, wildly irresponsible, Jordan Belfort in The Wolf of Wall Street, or physically and spiritually broken, Hugh Glass in The Revenant. His value increases by submerging his likability. Permission to disappear. He can vanish from the public eye for years between projects. There is no always-on mandate. His absence isn't a risk, it's a strategy. It builds anticipation and reinforces the idea that he only appears for something worthy. His mystique is maintained by his silence. Failure is framed as ambition. A film like J. Edgar or The Beach that doesn't resonate is not a brand crisis. It is an interesting miss from a serious actor taking a chance. The prestige shield deflects the commercial blow into a narrative of artistic bravery. The final contrast: exposure versus mystery. Johnson's model is based on maximum exposure. In the social media age, this was initially a revolutionary strength. But in 2026, visibility is power until it becomes exposure. Constant exposure makes you familiar, and familiarity, without surprise, breeds indifference. It leaves no room for mystery, and mystery is the fuel of lasting cultural relevance. DiCaprio's model is built on controlled scarcity. He is an event. Each appearance feels like an occasion. The shield allows him to be an actor first, a celebrity second. He is protected by the work itself. The trap demands constant victory. The shield allows for, and even ennobles, the occasional dignified defeat. In a business now terrified of loud, expensive failure, which would you bet on? 6. Why this shift is permanent. Let's be clear. This is not a temporary market correction or a passing phase in Hollywood's fickle tastes. The pivot from brand-centric stars like Dwayne Johnson to prestige-insulated actors like Leonardo DiCaprio is a permanent structural shift. It is a direct adaptation to a new entertainment ecosystem where the old blockbuster economics are fundamentally broken. The primary disruptor? Streaming. The streaming model has systematically killed the profit margin for the mid to high budget, star-driven action or comedy, the very heart of The Rock's filmography. These films were once reliable DVD sales generators. Now, they drop onto a streaming service where their value is diluted in a vast catalog. They must be either inexpensive enough to be profitable on streaming views alone, or so theatrically monumental that they demand a global box office. The comfortable middle ground has vanished. A $150 million Johnson vehicle is now the riskiest bet of all. Too expensive for streaming, yet no longer a guaranteed theatrical event. In response, studios have recalibrated their priorities toward assets that provide long-term stability. Awards pathways. An awards contender is a multi-year asset. It drives subscriptions during for-your consideration campaigns, attracts top-tier talent to the studio, and wins legacy-defining Oscars that boost the parent company's stock price. DiCaprio is an awards season engine. Johnson is not. International prestige. Global streaming platforms need globally respected content. A Martin Scorsese film starring Leonardo DiCaprio is a prestige flag planted in every territory. It says the platform is a home for serious cinema, which attracts older, wealthier demographics that advertisers crave. A pure action spectacle has an audience, but it doesn't elevate a brand. Long-term catalog value. As studios merge and content libraries become their most valuable asset, they need films that will be watched for decades. Genre films age. Prestige dramas, especially those tied to iconic directors and actors, become permanent cultural touchstones. The Wolf of Wall Street will be studied and streamed in 2050. Will Skyscraper? This is not inherently anti-rock. It is pro-survival. Johnson's brand is not dying, it is being relocated. His future dominance may lie in streaming-first franchise plays, like his Red One Christmas film for Amazon, or controlled, lower-budget genre fare where his fee doesn't break the model. His foray into drama with The Smashing Machine is a clear attempt to build his own version of a prestige shield. But the threshold for a traditional, theatrical, $200 million rock movie has been raised impossibly high. It must now be a Jumanji-level phenomenon to justify itself. Meanwhile, the threshold for a $100 million DiCaprio auteur movie remains stable, because its value proposition is diversified across box office, awards, prestige, and library growth. 7. The final truth. This is the part Hollywood never says out loud. The industry didn't abandon movie stars. It replaced them with risk dampeners. Leonardo DiCaprio isn't safer because he never fails. He's safer because his failures are quiet, dignified, and useful. Dwayne Johnson didn't become less popular. He became too expensive to be wrong. And this trade-off, brand power versus prestige insulation, isn't unique to these two careers. It's already reshaping casting decisions across Hollywood. Once studios stop betting on stars, they start betting on protection. And once you learn to spot that pattern, you'll see why some careers are forgiven, while others are quietly sidelined.